What is going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to teach you how to make $10,000 or more per month selling life insurance over the phone. Now, I'm going to give you guys the exact strategy. As you can see to the left of me here, I have a life insurance agency, Legacy Family Life, and since starting this business 2.5 years ago, almost 2.5 years ago now, we've done $8.2 million in final expense sales over the phone. We've done 8,930 sales over the phone. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the exact acting framework and question formula that has allowed me to sell hundreds of thousands of dollars on my own pen, but ultimately build a multi-million-dollar business. And this is the real stuff that works. I have nothing to sell you. I just want to share with you guys how you can actually sell. Your leads are not the problem. I promise you, if you watch this video, you'll be better than most life insurance agents. You will make more money, and I promise you, your sales problem will be fixed. Okay, so also, I'm going to give you a little bonus. I'm going to also share with you my winning script that has helped me sell $1 million or more, $8 million in life insurance. So I'm going to give you guys the real stuff, the good stuff. So let's jump into it. So the first thing I want to teach you about when it comes to selling life insurance over the phone, what you must understand that is so crucial to your success as a life insurance agent is that you are an actor. Okay, this is why I can give you my script here. And people are going to get different results. Some people on my team at Legacy Family Life will sell $45,000 a month. Some people sell $30,000 a month in premium. But the question is why? And that's because they are not using this question formula the correct way. And if you use this, you're gonna crush. So why is that acting? I think of acting and selling as a cut scene. In the intro, you're going to cut. You're going to sound different than how you sound in your presentation. You're going to sound different in your presentation than you're going to sound in your close. And if you guys can learn how to evolve your tonality, your pacing, your speed, and become an actor who can be like really curious, but ultimately really empathetic. Oh my gosh, Miss Betty, you will get your prospect to open up and you will sell more life insurance. So where does this begin? This begins by learning the question formula. This is the formula that you need if you do verbal pausing plus mirroring plus speed plus sale. You take them down the pipeline. Eventually that earns into a sale. Okay. And this is why you can have a script, but the script doesn't sound good, and this is why you get different results. Okay, so let me teach you what all of these mean. Okay, so the first thing you need to understand in your question formula is verbal pausing. Okay, this is really important. These are the I gotcha, or oh my gosh, Miss Betty, are you doing okay? So if you ever watch any of my live sales calls, you can see that I always lead with a verbal pause. So it's the it's the oh my gosh before you start your sentence. Okay, then it's the it's the oh. Okay, and then what is mirroring? Mirroring is so important. Chris Voss, a famous FBI negotiator, you can look at any sales book, they talk about mirroring. Mirroring is not only just being a great listener, so you're basically just going to repeat back to them what they tell you. Okay, so what is mirroring? When you look at a mirror, what happens? You see exactly what you're looking at, right? And when it comes to mirroring, all you have to do is you're going to add your verbal pause plus your mirror. Let me break that down for you. If Miss Betty tells you, oh, when I pass away, I want to make sure that my funeral expenses are taken care of. Okay. First you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and combine a verbal pause. Oh, I gotcha. So it sounds like to me that when you pass away, you want to make sure that your funeral expenses are taken care of. Is that about right? What did I do here? All I did is I repeated back to her what she told me. Okay, this is why it's so fun. If you learn this, it's so easy. And what you'll start learning is that you just plug this formula into any situation and you'll start just printing sales. So verbal pause plus mirror. That is just basically being a good repeater. Repeat back to me. Okay, so try it. If I tell you, hey, the sky is green, pink, and purple today, you're going to say, oh, wow. So the sky is green, pink, and purple today? Is that about right? Not, oh, wow, is the sky green today? Why is that incorrect? Because you left out some important details, and the prospect's not going to be heard. And this is why people tell you, if you're a good listener, you'll make money. Well, be a good listener by implementing mirroring, okay? Now the third part is that we're going to add in what's called the speed of your words, okay? You're either going to go on high speed or you're going to go on a low speed, okay? Why are these speeds really important, okay? Right now, I'm talking to you about things that are really really important. And what is my tonality? What does my speed reflect? My speed is slow. So if you want to reflect things that are really, really, really important, you're going to slow down your words, okay? So I want you to think of your speed as a gauge. Are you going too fast? Are you going way too fast so the client doesn't understand you and doesn't understand how important things are? Well, if you tone it down a little bit, you can do that, okay? So you're going to add your verbal pause. You're going to add your mirror, and then you're going to adjust the speed, okay? So when am I going to go fast, and when am I going to go slow? High speed or low speed? Rabbit speed or the turtle speed? If anybody had one of those tractors before, you can cut your grass, okay? So high speed is when you want to be a professional, when you want to act like you know what you're talking about, when you don't want to have importance in your word, when you just want to get your point across without really focusing on the depth of the words, okay? So this is going to be done in the medical section, okay? Any heart attacks, strokes, or cancers, any diabetes, any COPD, any elevated sugars. If you're a professional and you're quick, they'll know that you know what you're talking about. But if you're stumbling any like COPD, any like neuropathy, they're going to be like, what the heck is going on here? This guy has no idea what he's talking about. So when you're in the medical underwriting or you're giving your credentials, this is when you want to have your high speed, okay? Now your low speed is when you want to really stress the importance of specific words in your script. So for example, if I want to really bring light to, oh my gosh, and who would it be that would be like responsible for your burial expenses? I'm really highlighting that word responsible because I want to illustrate to them that it has more depth, okay? The problem is you can have the right script, you can have the right verbal pausing, you can have the right mirroring, but if you're just too quick throughout the whole process, people aren't going to understand you and they're not going to want to buy from you because nothing is actually important. This is why your speed gauge is so important. Got me here? Now the third part of this formula that you have to put together is going to be picking the right tonality. When it comes to selling insurance, okay, there's 3 tonalities that are really, really, really important for you, okay? The first one is the confused. Okay, we'll tone it down for a little bit here. We're going to use the curious tonality, okay? I'll start with the curious tonality. And this is all tying back to the acting, okay? So right now, if I told you, be really, really curious, how would you sound? When you say, like, you want to be, like, curious, what do you mean by that? Okay? If you can't do that right now, you're going to struggle at being an actor. You're going to struggle at going from scene 1 to scene 3. And in sales, you have to adapt. You have to go down to your avatar's level, and you got to get the emotion out of them. And your tonality is how they interpret the words that you're saying. So, for example, if I tell you, you look ugly, okay? You're going to think I'm mean. You look ugly. But forgive me if I said, forgive me for saying this, but you look, I don't want to, I think a little like ugly, right? You'd be like maybe like less taken back because it's not as aggressive. It's how your prospect interprets what you're saying. So you could say all the right words, guys. I'm going to give you this script. You could say it all the right way. You could say all the words, but it's how do you make your prospect feel? Okay? Are they smiling? Are they sad? Because your guard is their guard is always down. Okay, and I'm going to teach you how to lower their guard here in a second with a specific tonality. But you want your client always listening, engaged, happy, and feeling good about the process. And that's where curiosity comes in. So curiosity is just that uncertainty, okay? Curiosity. And then the second is you're going to learn the concerned tonality, okay? So if I'm concerned, do you think I'm going to be, going back to our speed, am I going to be on a high speed or a low speed? I'm going to be on a low speed. So let's go up to the curiosity tonality, and then we'll jump back down to the concern tonality here. So how would I put this all together in my curiosity with my verbal pause, my mirroring, my speed, and my tonality? Okay? Follow along with me. Okay? So each tonality is paired with a correct verbal pause. Okay? It's like a sentence. You can use a curious tone with the wrong verbal pausing, and it will be incorrect. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And when you say like you don't really need anything, what do you mean by that? It doesn't make sense, right? Okay, I'm trying to understand here. Okay, When you say I gotcha, so it sounds to me that you want to make sure like everything is taken care of, but like, what do you mean like taken care of? That is using the like trying to put it all together, verbal pausing with a curious question. Okay, so that's our curious sentence. Now let's go into concerned. Okay, why do you need to be concerned? Concern allows emotions. Okay, this is emotional sale, guys, and what you're going to learn in this training is that people buy life insurance not because they want to buy it, it's because they're emotionally charged, where they want to protect their loved ones. I don't just ever wake up and say, hey, I'm going to buy life insurance. No, something's happened. They want to remove this feeling. I'm feeling like this weight on my shoulder. This is why people say it's going to give me peace of mind. It's going to help me sleep better at night. I'm really worried. It's because they're concerned. Okay, and you want to illuminate that concerned feeling, and that's by using the concerned tonality. So how do you do it? You want to use a slower speed. Oh my gosh, wow, I'm so sorry, man, Miss Betty. And when you say like your daughter's gonna be the one like stuck paying for your burial expenses, like what do you mean by that? Okay, so you're gonna lower your volume almost to at a whisper. Oh my gosh, Grandma, you have cancer. How are you doing? Oh my gosh, are you all right? So that's me acting concerned. Okay, so you might be saying, why is my prospect not opening up? Why are they not getting emotional? It's because you're not asking questions where they can feel emotional. If something's really, really serious and they tell you, yeah, my daughter just died, and you're like, oh wow, I'm just kind of confused. When you say your daughter died, are you all right? And you use the wrong tonality, like a curiosity tonality, they're going to be pissed. They're going to be hang up. This is why it's not a lead problem. It's a sales problem, guys. Circle this. It's all a sales problem. And it's by picking the right tonality. So the second tonality is concern. It's lowering your volume. Imagine your grandma just told you she had cancer. How would you respond? That's how you want to respond to these prospects. The last one is going to be a playful tonality, okay? We're going to show these all into action for you guys here in a second. Playful. Why do I use playful? So we have curiosity, concern, and then playful. Playful is when you want to bust someone's chops a little bit. They're just really uptight. They're just hard to break down, and their guard is up. Okay, when their guard is up, they're not gonna be opening up. They're gonna be very like surface level. And when someone's surface level, they can't get into what state? They can't get into their emotional state. Okay, so what am I gonna try to do? I'm gonna try to make them laugh. I'm gonna make them chuckle. I'm gonna make them like crack a joke. I'm gonna make them like me a little bit. So how do you use the playful tonality? Don't be so serious in your sales calls. First off, don't be so serious in your sales calls. And you want to find a place to add a joke into your script, okay? My specific joke, if you watch my sales calls, is when I'm giving people my name, my first name and my last name is Peter Roberts, okay? Now, under that, Miss Betty, you can also put down there, too, you can put Peter Cottontail. Ha, 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 Peter Cottontail. Oh, my gosh. And then you'll see their guard comes down, okay? Sometimes you'll also ask really emotional questions, and people will be like, why are you asking all these dang questions, right? What do you do then? You don't just, okay, whatever you need, Miss Betty. No, you want to take control of the situation, and you want to use a playful tonality, such as, oh, Miss Betty, my wife says the same thing. She says, I'm so annoying. I ask all the same questions. Forgive me for asking. And it should, and then you ask your next question. That is using your playful tonality. Using situations where you can break the ice to go from someone who is like really, really upset because you can feel they're getting tired of these questions. They're getting tired of these questions. They're getting tired of these questions. And then you hit them with the playful tonality, and then that smile comes back on, and the guard is lowered. So now that we've learned the tonalities, guys, I want to share with you guys the formula, how to use this formula in your sales process with master these 3 questions, and you will make 10,000 or more a month. Okay, keep following along with me. This is really juicy stuff, and this is the deep stuff that has allowed me to sell hundreds of thousands of dollars of life insurance. Okay, so to the left of me, we're going to go ahead and cancel this out here. You're going to see the questions of my script. Okay, question number 1. Okay, this is script question number 1. Okay, now enough about me. kind of fill me in. What had you like motivated to start looking around for some life insurance like now? Okay, so let's go ahead and break this down. Question one, all we're trying to do is we're trying to get the clear goal of what this prospect is looking for. Okay, I want you to understand this here. Okay, so this is the question here. So first thing, we're going to pick our tonality. What tonality are we going to pick? We're going to pick A from 1 to 2 to 3. We're going to pick a curious tonality, okay? Because we're trying to get them to open up to share more information, okay? So I'm going to be curious. Everyone try that with me. So kind of fill me in. What had you motivated to start looking around for like some like life insurance now, okay? So you hear my inflections. You feel my hands. You hear how I'm kind of curious. My head is tilting to the side. Curious, okay? Now, your prospect might be honest and they might say, okay, well, I just want to cover like my burial expenses. If they say you get your goal, we check the box here, and then we go to question number 2. But how do we make the transition smooth? Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to implement our formula. Okay, so verbal pause, which would be our verbal pause, is going to be the surprised. Okay, so check this out. So we ask a question, we get the answer, we're curious. What happens when you're curious to get your answer? When you're curious, you go from curious to getting your answer. Oh, I gotcha. You want to be surprised. Because if you're like, okay, gotcha, moving on. It would make no sense. So to structure your sentence, you want to make sure that you use the right verbal pausing, okay? So they say, oh, I want to make sure that my burial expenses are paid for. Ah, I gotcha. So at the top here, I gotcha, mirror. So it sounds like to me that you just want to make sure that like your burial expenses are taken care of. Is that about right? Speed is normal. And then my tonality is still like kind of curious. Yes. And when I get my clear goal, then I can go to the pain section of the script, which is question number 2. But I'm going to pause there for a second. Sometimes your clients, your prospect, you'll ask questions and they'll give you very surface level answers. They'll say, well, I just want to make sure I got everything in order, right? Is that going to give you what's called our clear goal? No. We need the clear goal for question number 1. Why did you fill out this form? Why are you calling and speaking to me about life insurance? I need the clear answer. So here's the thing. Here's this formula. Write this down. If they do not give you the clear goal, then what are you going to do? You are going to dive deeper. And how do you dive deeper? You can steal one of these deeper questions here to the left. I like this one that's highlighted. Okay. So I'm gonna dive a little deeper. Okay. Now to dive deeper, I need to ask the question in a curious tonality so that they are going to open up a little bit for me. If I'm like, okay, what do you mean you want to have taken care of? I would create friction. Guard would go up. They wouldn't want to buy, right? But instead, I'm like, oh, okay, huh? Oh, all right. I'm curious. Now, when you say that you want to what is the goal of the life insurance? What do you want to make sure gets taken care of, Miss Betty? And then she gives you the answer. She gives you a clear answer. She tells you funeral expenses. And then what are you going to do? Then you're going to end your sentences with the verbal pause of, oh, I gotcha. So it sounds like to me that you just want to make sure that your funeral expenses are taken care of. Is that about right? So question 1, getting the goal is all about having that curious tonality. When you get the answer, you then are surprised with your verbal pausing, and then you can go into question number 2. And this is how you can create really, really smooth and simple transitions that will allow you to have your prospect's guard always down and you just feeling like you're just trying to figure out their situation. Question number 2. This is really important. This is where the sale is made. So as you're sticking along here, question number 2 is really important because we're trying to figure out the pain of the who is responsible, okay? The person that's going to be stuck with their burial expenses, okay? Now, what type of tonality I'm going to use here? We're trying to get into the emotional state. What tonality? We're going to take them into the concerned tonality. So now we're in scene number 2. Lights, camera, action, okay? So what is scene number 2? This is the concern. So And God forbid if something were to happen to you, and look at my script here, and you didn't have this coverage in place, who would it be that would be like responsible for like sitting down with the funeral director, planning for all those arrangements, and also like paying for your burial expenses, Miss Betty? Now I'm concerned. Now she's going to tell you the name. Oh, my daughter. Okay, we always want a name. If we don't get the name, then we need to make sure that we get someone. We got to get a first name, a last name. We got to get their uncle. If someone says, I don't know, IDK, that is not valuable because they need to have the person, right? So if they say IDK, you got to be like, well, if you really thought about it, who would that fall on? Okay, it's going to fall on my daughter. Okay, my daughter. Oh, okay. So now we're going to go from our verbal pausing. As we learned earlier, we have 3 verbal pausings. We have the surprised. Oh, I hear you. Or we're going to use the verbal pausing of concerned. So they tell you if they die that their daughter would be the ones paying for their burial expenses. So let's go back to our formula here. Concerned, verbal pause. Oh my gosh, your daughter. Mirror. Slow. Speed. Oh my gosh, your daughter. And Miss Betty, would your daughter be like, would she be like in a position where she could come out of pocket like $10,000 to $20,000 for like your burial expenses? Now I'm concerned for her. So the oh my gosh is my concern, verbal pause. My mirror, I repeat back the name. Daughter, my speed is low because it's very, very concerning. And my tonality is concerned, okay? She's then going to say, who's going to be responsible? Look here on my script. And would your daughter be like in a position where she could come out of pocket $10,000 to $15,000 for your burial expenses? What is she going to say? She is going to say no. Okay. And when she says no, how do you think our verbal pause is going to be? Again, this is all a formula, guys. Oh my gosh, she's not. What is she going to have to do? And then she's going to open up a little bit deeper, okay? But let me share with you guys something that's really, really important on the dive deeper, okay? This is the pain scale. This is what allows you to make money, okay? I'm going to teach you guys this scale. When you ask these deep questions, every time you get an answer, your pain/buying scale goes from 1 to 2, okay? So, for example, if she tells you, I don't know who's going to pay for my burial expenses, where is she at on this scale? She's probably at like a 1 or a 2. But the goal is to ask questions to get in what's called the sales red zone. And that's anything from like a 9 to a 10. If I am, by the end of this call, in this sales red zone, do you think that they're going to buy? Okay, for example, what did that look like if someone's in a sales red zone? They're telling you their daughter's going to be the one paying for the burial expenses. They don't want it. They're going to have to knock on doors. It's going to keep them up at night. They've been trying to get life insurance. They want to make sure that no matter what, this is always taken care of. If your prospect is sharing this with you, do you think they have a high likelihood of buying life insurance to solve this massive problem? Probably yes. And how do you get them to go from 3 to 4 to inch their way to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 all the way to the red zone? It's by asking the correct structured questions that we just learned about that gets your prospect to open up about buying life insurance. It is not getting yes or no statements. It is not about the no, yes or no statements. No, it's about the ended questions, the open-ended questions where your prospect is just spilling the beans. Okay, so yes, no questions are terrible here. Yes, no questions only take you down like 0.5. But I'm going to show you guys how to inch your questions down here. And that's by painting the picture. So, for example, how would that make you feel, Miss Betty, if something happened to you and your daughter had to come out of pocket for everything? It would make me feel terrible. Then she goes from a 4 to a 5. Oh my gosh, it would make you feel terrible. And have you, has this been something that's been on your mind for a really long time? Yes, it's been on my mind for so many months. I just know I need it. Oh my gosh. Wow. And walk me through what that looks like, the process. If you pass away today and you didn't have this life insurance in place, how would you think she'd actually pay for everything? oh man, she's going to have to do this. She's going to have to knock on doors. And then Miss Betty is spilling the beans. And slowly but surely, you're just inching your way down to the red zone. And then before you know it, you've asked all the questions. She spilled the beans. And you can now go into the pitch, the close, knowing that this person has a high likelihood of wanting to solve their problem. But the problem is, so many life insurance agents are like, who's gonna pay for it? My daughter. Okay. And your daughter has the money? No, she doesn't. Okay. And then you go into the numbers. No, you need to build the pain. You need to build that buying scale, and you need to continue to work yourself. If you're at a 5, you ain't going on to the next question. No, you are going to ask deeper questions to go to 6. If you're at a 6, you ain't staying at 6. No, you got to ask a deeper question and go to 7. If you're at a 7, we're not going to stay there. We're going to go ahead and ask another question to go to an 8. And slowly you'll inch yourself down here. But if you ask the questions with the right tonality and you lower their guard, your prospect will continue to open up. But here's the problem. If you have their walls up, if they're like, I don't want to talk about this, I'm not going into this. Well, guess what? Your tonality is incorrect, and they are interpreting your sentences the wrong way, and they're not going to want to hear what you're saying, and they're going to hang up. And if you're getting people that are not opening up in your discovery, it's because your tonality, go back up, your tonality is incorrect, and your verbal pausings are incorrect, okay? Really important, okay? So now that you've got them to a 7, an 8, you move them to a 9, and you're in the red zone, then we can move on to question number 3. Question number 3 is basically helping them understand why they haven't moved forward. So they've just told you, hey, they need life insurance to cover the burial expenses. Question 1. They've also told you in question 2 that their daughter is going to be the one stuck with their burial expenses. They've just answered so many questions. They don't want anything to happen. They've just told you how bad the situation is. They've painted the picture because you've inched them down the buying and pain scale. Y'all see this here? Now you're trying to figure out why in the world have they not purchased this product yet, okay? So what this question is I can just hear it in your voice, Miss Betty. It sounds like this is just so important to you. Now, have you been looking around for something like this for a while now? Or is this something that you realize you just kind of need? So then you're going to understand what is their constraint. Why haven't they purchased this product yet? Forgive me. Because you know that they have a problem, okay? They have a clear problem, and they are looking for a solution. Why haven't they solved that problem, okay? And what you're trying to do is find the obstacles. Well, it's typically like price. It's typically like waiting period. It's typically like time. It's typically like accountability. Like, we have to figure out why they haven't moved forward, okay? And how do you do that? You ask that curious tonality. You don't want to offend them, so you're curious. And then you're going to get information. They might tell you, oh, it's been too expensive. So let me just take you back to math class. And this is how you solve for question number 3. You know, remember those like XY equations? If you have X, that equals Y, okay? Well, if the price is too expensive and you need it to equal Y, you got to figure out what the price is. So if you tell you, oh, it's been too expensive, we need to move on. Well, when they tell you we don't want to move on. When they tell you it's been too expensive, what have they been telling you? Well, the price has been $52 per month for just $5,000, okay? So if I am going to give her a quote for $52 for $5,000, do you think she's going to buy? No, because she said no to this, so why is she going to say yes to this? But if I can understand the price was maybe $80, and I can find her something for $71, and it's the cheapest rate, and she's been looking around for months, do you think she's going to buy? Probably yes. And this is by understanding what has held them in the past, okay? Or they say there's a waiting period, okay? So if there's a waiting period, let's go to the left here. And I can find her something with no waiting period. There's value that is created, and that will equal a sale, okay? So this is why we have to solve for question number 3, okay? That's all about why haven't they moved forward. Now, this is where the last part of the sale is. This is the juicy stuff that makes you close deals, okay? When you then go into the pitch, okay, you don't just say, well, Miss Betty, you know, what we're going to be looking at here is 3 options. The $10,000, that's $65. The $20,000 option, which is $95, $95, and then the $30,000 is $120. No, we're not just price givers. We need to explain how each option solves their problem. Okay, we'll start with the 10,000. And this might sound elaborate. This might sound like a lot of work, but you have to do this. Remember how they told you here earlier in the pain scale? We have to bring this all back up. This is what I call the SPCA commercial. Okay, this is the SPCA commercial. They get you into the feelings. The commercial comes up on the TV. You get tapped into your emotions, and you have $1 left in your bank account, and you end up spending that last $1 because they have gotten you so emotionally charged where you want to spend your last dollar on helping a random puppy in Brazil get water. And you're going to do it. It doesn't make sense because you have tapped them into their emotional stage, okay? Before, you've got them into their emotional here, and then you're starting to lose them every single minute after that when you're not talking about your emotions. Now it's time to bring them back into the emotional stage, the empathetic, the concern stage. This is where you do it, okay? What you do is you have to tie back all that they've told you. In this sentence, they probably told you they don't want their wife to be stuck with the burial expenses. They've told you that their daughter would have to pay or help, that their daughter has 6 kids, that they're on Social Security, that her wife might have to sell the tractor. Okay, all these situations need to come down here in what's called our SPCA commercial. Okay, and it's going to sound like this. Now, Miss Betty, or Mr. Jimmy, this $10,000 option is going to be just the starter program. What this is going to make sure is that your wife, Miss Betty Lou, she's not going to be stuck paying for your burial expenses. She's not going to be knocking on doors like you told me earlier. And most importantly, that your daughter, Samantha, she's not going to have to chip in. You told me earlier she has the 6 kids. She can't pay for it. You told me she's already having too much on her plate. And ultimately, it's going to make sure that you have a small policy in place so that your daughter and your wife aren't having to figure out how to sell your John Deere tractor on a short-term notice to come up with a few $1,000s to potentially bury you. This is going to make sure that when you pass away, your family is loved. They know that you have everything and taken care of. And ultimately, you can go to bed at night knowing that as a man, as a father, your family is protected. Now, if we can even get you approved, the $10,000 option is going to be $71 per month. Okay, so what did I do? I stacked the value. Okay, I stacked how this 10,000 is going to solve his problem. Because if the value, let's do the value, is greater than the price of the $71, guess what happens? They equal sale. Boom. But if I just say, oh, it's $81 and it's going to be $10,000 and they don't think it's valuable enough, they're not going to buy. And guess what? You need to get them emotionally charged for every situation. So when you're doing your 20,000, guess what you're going to do? You're going to do your SPCA statement again. You're going to explain how it's going to tie back to their wife, the John Deere tractor. Not going to leave them up. It's going to not keep them up at night. And you want to milk it. Delay. And then after you got all of it out, you've emptied the tank, then you can give the price of $91. Okay? And you're going to do this every single time for all 3 options. So you're going to give them the amount, the SPCA statement, milk it, empty the tank, and then the price. The last final step to get them to buy and be in this emotional state is, let's scroll down a little bit, is when you're giving them the 3 option close, okay? So how do I get them to pick the option? We want to get them into their feelings again. So how do I get them to go with the 10,000, the 20,000, or the 30,000? And it's just like this. So Miss Betty, now our challenge is to make sure that we can help you get approved for this coverage, but you kind of fill me in. As a mother, do you feel we should go with the 10,000 or the $20,000 coverage? What would give you the most peace of mind? Okay, it's not, Miss Betty, what do you think we should go with, or what do you think we should do? No, it's, do you feel we should go with the 20,000 or the 30,000? Because now we're tapping into our emotions, and then she should make a decision based off emotion rather than logic. Okay. So guys, if you use this, this is my training. I promise you, you will close more deals. And this is exactly how I sold over $8 million in life insurance with my team here at Legacy Family Life. I love you guys. Hope this helped. If you want more trainings like this, let us know, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.